ways of doing things, or else people get disenfranchised. Utilize qualification and health monitoring as a means of inclusion and sustained development for minority contractors. We've been assessed to death. But that assessment, if it's only exclusive, doesn't work. We assess very in-depth all of our contractors, including the minority subcontractors. The difference is we make sure it's in the context of inclusion and development. We want to give them, when they can't do business with us today, because I can't do business with everybody because they're a minority, there's cogent business variables engaged, but I make sure that they're not sent off into an abyss to figure it out on their own. Process, systems, and tools. You heard about transparency, enhanced analytics, aggregated data, and informational exchange. We've tried to set up a system that allows for best practice methodologies from our project managers and our superintendents, and I say every GC, every prime, every owner should be dedicated to being very clear on what the criteria is when they go through assessing capacity. Because it can be a very nebulous conversation at times. Let's be very clear on what that is. What is the criteria? And how do you prioritize it? And disclose it very early in the game so we can set the rules. Let's make the invisible hand visible. Leverage new database tools for increased informational efficiencies, accountability, and transparency. Why do we have so much divisiveness and fragmentation? Let's connect the owner, GC, CM, prime, subs, job opportunities, and the development partners inside of one informational infrastructure. It can easily be done. You know how it can be done? Go to the next slide really quick. Because we're doing it. We're doing it. We're utilizing a Magic Star system that is a web-based platform that already accomplishes everything I've already laid out for you. So there's no reason to say, where are they, or where are the systems? We're here, and we have them. Okay? Move forward. You can go through all of this so you can see what those kind of systems look like. But they're already here. So here's my next specific recommendation. Implement a database system that discloses projects earlier, so we're not just talking about 30 to 60 days before the bid is due. Right? Conveys assessment criteria very transparently, tracks minority-owned businesses' results against that criteria, and tracks in the system with capacity building initiatives. And giving them a place for a voice to provide what does that even look like? What are the service providers who are supposed to be giving them capacity, what are they doing? Let's connect it all and be very efficient with our dollars. Next. And I'm done here. This is my last slide, but this is what I'm hoping for in my industry. I'm hoping that in my industry, when I see so many of our kids falling out of the K-12 system or post-secondary, not pursuing post-secondary education, that I can get them into vocational training. But that vocational industry has to be very connected. Very connected. So I want life skills, job readiness, test preparation to be feeding the Lewis Kings of the world to produce vocational training, on-the-job training, a job, a career, entrepreneurial development, and then successful entrepreneurship. Because I can tell you, my partner, who's been in this business for 30 years, graduated from high school and that's it. So it's not impossible for us to go through this process, but it can't be just tied to individual will and charisma all the time. Let's build systems so we can make many. Thank you.
Okay, now my timeline is in the wall, so you see me tapping them, right? You see me tapping. That tap means we gotta go, we gotta go. Without further ado, I'm gonna also recognize our great mayor of the state, of the city of Minneapolis, Mayor R.T. Ryback. Can you just give us a wave? Now we're gonna talk about business, you heard. Now we're gonna get to the nitty-gritty also. With Leah Hargett. She is the president of the Minnesota Black Chamber of Commerce. Let's give her a hand.
I just reminded I have 7 minutes. That's pretty tough for me. Thank you, State Representative Champion, Representative Hayden, and Reverend McAfee for your advocacy and leadership in recognizing the importance of business to the overall economic revitalization of our community, our state, and our nation. And also thank you, Governor Dayton, and welcome and thank you to all of the commissioners that are here today, and for having the most progressive vision in the nation. For me, this is quite a timely moment. I've just returned from an education briefing at the White House, and which was led by Secretary Arne Duncan, to learn more about the role our businesses can play in developing strong workforces and future business leaders. We talked about engaging the do tank. And that's a model that I would love to talk to you a little bit more about, Governor Dayton. And we focused on business engagement, changing the equation, where we leverage business core competencies and serve to change education. Skills for America's future, where the needs of business are matched with community colleges to create new career opportunities. And Startup America, which calls for the development of entrepreneurial ecosystems to create new industry, expand the existing industries and create jobs. Today I will review the entrepreneurial and small business perspective and present an inclusive vision for Black and minority businesses. The dynamic power of ethnic capital in Minnesota. Take a look at this, but listen to my words. We have a buying power of over $12 billion, which is greater than the GDP of many countries. The number of ethnic firms are growing faster than the overall rate. Black firms are the largest group of firms in Minnesota. Black firms had receipts close to $1 billion and employed almost 5,000 people in Minnesota, according to the 2007 census data. Ethnic workers play critical roles at both the high-skilled and low-skilled levels in Minnesota, pay an estimated $1.6 billion in state and local taxes, and Black workers have an estimated $9 billion impact on earnings in Minnesota. Now, what's wrong with that picture? If you look at where our greatest spikes are, we own companies that have receipts of $25,000 a year, versus we have a total of, and that equals a total of 3,500 businesses. Now you compare that to the other end of the spectrum, which is our 100 million or more annual revenue earning companies, and we'd have less than 200. There's a problem there. Major points of interest were developed after a survey that the Minnesota Black Chamber of Commerce conducted with its member base, where we asked them to identify the top 3 areas of concern that they had that are inhibiting them from growing their businesses. The first one is access to capital. The second is gaining contract work with federal, state, and local government agencies, which you heard Robbie talk about. And then entrepreneurial small business development. We have very specific recommendations, and I also want to take this opportunity to identify the return on investment to the governor and as it relates to access to capital. We recommend that you establish a work capital loan fund or a lending infrastructure to assist minority-owned businesses access capital for initial startup or expansion. The Department of Employment and Economic Development has a one-time grant of $15 million. We think you can find a little opportunity for us there. Tax credits and wage subsidies to hire and retain local residents would really impact our businesses and give us the opportunity for us to be able to use those savings to reinvest in our businesses as well. In the area of contracts with federal, state, and local government agencies,